I was happy, genuinely happy, when Jessica and I got engaged. 3 years of dating, and I knew she was the one. Everything seemed perfect as we planned our wedding for 6 months from now. When Jessica asked to attend her best friend Amanda's wedding in Seattle alone, I trusted her completely. I kissed her goodbye at the airport, counting days until her return. When she came back, something was different. She avoided my eyes. That evening, sitting on our sofa, Jessica suddenly said, "I need to tell you something important. Before I continue, let me know where you are watching from, and hit that subscribe button to follow my story." Jessica and I had built what I thought was a perfect life together. At 28, I was doing well as a software engineer at a tech company in Boston. My work was challenging but rewarding, and I had recently been praised for innovative solutions on a major project. Jessica, 27, had established herself as a talented interior designer with a growing client base of wealthy homeowners along the East Coast. Her creative eye and attention to detail were qualities I had always admired. We met 3 years ago at the grand opening of a new restaurant downtown. I was there with coworkers celebrating a successful product launch, and she was attending with clients after completing their home renovation. Our eyes met across the crowded bar, and I worked up the courage to introduce myself. We talked for hours that night, discovering shared interests in hiking obscure indie films and a passion for travel. By the end of the evening, I knew there was something special between us. Our relationship progressed naturally. We moved in together after a year, combining our lives seamlessly. I had never experienced such deep trust with anyone before. We shared passwords, bank accounts, and our most vulnerable fears and dreams. When I proposed on our second anniversary, during a hike up Mount Washington, her joyful tears and emphatic yes made me feel like the luckiest man alive. Planning the wedding had been surprisingly enjoyable. I secured our dream venue, a historic lighthouse on the coast, with breathtaking ocean views. Jessica found a dress she described as absolutely perfect, though she refused to show me photos, insisting on tradition. We agreed on a small ceremony with just family and close friends, focusing our budget on an amazing honeymoon across Europe instead of an extravagant reception. My parents adored Jessica, and her family had welcomed me warmly from the beginning. When the invitation to Amanda's wedding arrived, Jessica was excited. Amanda had been her roommate throughout college, and they had remained close despite the distance between Boston and Seattle. The wedding was scheduled for a long weekend, and Jessica hesitated before bringing it up. "I really want to go to Amanda's wedding," she said one evening as we washed dishes together. "But flights are so expensive right now, and I know you are in the middle of that big project at work." I could see how much it meant to her. "You should absolutely go," I encouraged. "Amanda was there for you through so much in college, and you are right about my work schedule. The timing is terrible for me to take time off." "Are you sure you do not mind if I go alone?" Jessica asked, studying my face for any sign of discomfort. I wrapped my arms around her waist and kissed her forehead. "Of course not. I trust you completely. Besides, it will give me time to finish my project without feeling guilty about neglecting you." Her face brightened with relief and happiness. "You are the best. I promise to video call every day and bring you back something special from Seattle." The day of her departure arrived quickly. I drove Jessica to the airport before heading to work. She was radiant with excitement, chattering about seeing old friends and exploring Seattle. At the terminal, she kissed me goodbye, her lips lingering on mine. "I will miss you so much," she whispered. "It is only 4 days," I laughed. "Have fun and give Amanda my congratulations." I watched her walk through security, turning back to wave one last time before disappearing into the crowd. I had no idea that this moment would be the last time I saw the woman I thought I knew. While Jessica was away, I threw myself into work, hoping to complete my project early so I could focus on wedding planning when she returned. The first 2 days, Jessica called as promised, showing me the hotel room, the beautiful venue overlooking Puget Sound, and her bridesmaid dress. She introduced me to a few of Amanda's friends through the screen, everyone laughing and excited for the upcoming ceremony. The rehearsal dinner was amazing, she gushed on the second night. "The food was incredible. I wish you could taste it. Take pictures of everything I said. Next time we will go together. On the third day, Jessica's calls became shorter. She texted that they were busy with last-minute wedding preparations and post-wedding brunches. Her messages were less frequent, but I thought nothing of it. I was happy she was enjoying time with friends she rarely got to see. The final day, I barely heard from her, except for a quick text. Flight on time. See you tonight. Love you. I left work early to prepare a special welcome home. I stopped at her favorite florist for a bouquet of lilies, picked up ingredients for her favorite pasta dish, and even splurged on an expensive bottle of wine. I spent the afternoon cleaning our apartment and setting up candles in the bedroom. I wanted to remind her how good we were together, how much I valued her, especially as wedding stress had started to build recently. When I picked her up at the airport, I immediately sensed something was off. Jessica hugged me, but it felt mechanical, lacking the warmth I was accustomed to. In the car, she was unusually quiet, answering my questions about the wedding, with brief, distracted responses. Is everything okay? I finally asked as we pulled into our parking space at home. Just tired from traveling, she replied, not meeting my eyes. Time difference and all that. At home, Jessica barely reacted to the romantic dinner I had prepared. She pushed pasta around her plate, checking her phone every few minutes, occasionally smiling at the screen, before quickly putting it face down when she noticed me watching. Did something happen at the wedding? I asked gently. No, everything was perfect, she said, finally looking up. I just have a bit of a headache. I think I will take a shower and go to bed early. For the next week, Jessica continued to act strange. She avoided physical intimacy, claiming fatigue or headaches. She started taking her phone into the bathroom during showers, something she had never done before. When I walked into rooms, she would quickly end calls or switch screens on her laptop. One night, I woke to find her side of the bed empty. From the living room, I heard her whispering on the phone, her voice stopping abruptly when I approached. Work call, she explained unconvincingly. A client in a different time zone. I noticed she had changed all her passwords, too. When I asked to use her laptop one day when mine was updating, she hesitated before watching me closely, the entire time, standing behind me, as if afraid I would snoop. Then, I spotted the bracelet. It was handmade with colorful beads and a small silver charm. Jessica never wore jewelry like that, preferring minimalist, expensive pieces. When I asked about it, she flushed and stammered. Oh, this. Just a gift from a friend at the wedding. One of the bridesmaids makes jewelry as a hobby. I wanted to believe her, but doubt had started to creep in. This was not the woman I had been planning to marry. Something fundamental had changed during her trip, and I was increasingly afraid to discover what it might be. Finally, after a tense week of tiptoeing around each other, Jessica suggested we open a bottle of wine and talk. My stomach clenched with anxiety as we settled on the sofa. Jessica poured herself a large glass and drank half of it quickly as if gathering courage. Grady, she began, her voice unsteady. I have been doing a lot of thinking since the wedding. About life, about identity, about what I want. I nodded, encouraging her to continue, while my heart pounded in my chest. She took another gulp of wine. Love is complicated is not it. We think we know ourselves, and then something happens that makes us question everything. Jessica, whatever it is, just tell me. I said, my patience wearing thin from a week of evasion. She took my hand, her palm clammy against mine. I have something I need to confess to you. I slept with someone at the wedding. Jessica said, her words hanging in the air between us like a physical presence. For a moment, I could not breathe. The room seemed to spin slightly as my brain struggled to process what she had just said. I met someone at Amanda's wedding. Jessica continued, her voice shaking. Her name is Samantha. She was one of the bridesmaids. The word her hit me like a punch to the stomach. You cheated on me with a woman. Jessica nodded, tears welling in her eyes. It happened after the bachelorette party. We were all a little drunk and Samantha and I started talking. There was this immediate connection, Grady, something I have never felt before. I stood up, needing to move to process. So you just decided to throw away our relationship, our engagement for some drunk hookup at a wedding. It was not like that, Jessica protested. This is why I have been so confused. I think I am bisexual, Grady. Maybe I always have been, but never allowed myself to explore it. Meeting Samantha just brought everything to the surface. And you could not have figured this out without cheating on me. I asked, my voice rising despite my efforts to stay calm. You could not have talked to me first. Jessica looked down at her hands. I know it was wrong, but it was just physical, Grady. It does not change how I feel about you. Just physical, I repeated incredulously. How would you feel if I said I cheated on you, but it was just physical, so no big deal? It is different, Jessica insisted. This was about me discovering a part of myself I never knew existed. And technically, it is not the same as if I had been with another man. I stared at her in disbelief. Cheating is cheating, Jessica. The gender of the person you betrayed me with does not make it hurt any less. Jessica took a deep breath. I know this is a shock, but I have been thinking about what comes next. I still want to marry you, Grady. You are still the man I want to spend my life with. But I need some time to explore this side of myself first. What exactly are you saying? I asked, though I was starting to understand where this was heading. I think we should postpone the wedding, Jessica said, reaching for my hand again. I pulled away, just for a little while until I figure things out. And maybe we could consider opening our relationship. My jaw dropped. Opening our relationship? Jessica nodded eagerly, apparently mistaking my shock for consideration. Just on my end, just for women. You would still be the only man in my life. I just need a hall pass to explore this part of my identity. You could stay closed and committed to me. The audacity of her request left me speechless. She wanted me to wait patiently at home, while she dated other people like some lovesick puppy, grateful for whatever scraps of affection she chose to throw my way. Samantha is actually coming to Boston next week. Jessica continued, apparently encouraged by my silence. I thought maybe you could meet her. See that she is not a threat to our relationship. I laughed bitterly. Not a threat. The woman you cheated on me with is coming to our home, and I am supposed to welcome her. If you really love me, you will try to understand, Jessica said, her tone suddenly defensive. This is important to me, Grady. It is about my identity, my authentic self. And what about my authentic self? I countered. The one that values honesty, commitment, and respect in a relationship. You are being closed-minded, Jessica accused. I thought you were more progressive than this. Our argument stretched late into the night. Jessica alternated between tears, accusations that I was controlling her, and assurances that her feelings for me had not changed. When I suggested couples counseling, she dismissed the idea, saying I was the one who needed to work through my obvious issues with insecurity. As dawn broke, I lay awake in our bed, Jessica having finally fallen asleep on the sofa. I felt like I was living in some bizarre alternate reality. The woman I loved, the woman I thought I knew better than anyone, had become a stranger to me overnight. The next morning I left early for work, unable to face Jessica after our night-long argument. Throughout the day I could not focus on anything, my mind replaying her confession and outlandish requests over and over. My colleagues noticed my distraction, but I brushed off their concerns with vague mentions of wedding stress. When I returned home that evening, Jessica was out. She had left a note, saying she was meeting a friend for dinner to clear her head. I used the opportunity to open my laptop and check our shared cloud storage, where we kept photos and documents. I was not proud of what I was about to do, but I needed answers. I found them in Jessica's still logged-in email on our shared tablet. There were dozens of messages between her and Samantha, dating back to weeks before the wedding. They had not met at the wedding at all. They had connected on a dating app 2 months earlier, while Jessica and I were already engaged. The wedding had simply provided the perfect cover for them to finally meet in person. The messages were explicit, detailed plans for their rendezvous in Seattle, with Jessica telling Samantha how excited she was to finally be together. There were discussions of how to handle me with Jessica, assuring Samantha that I was clueless and easily managed. In one particularly painful exchange, Samantha had asked if Jessica felt guilty. A little Jessica had replied, "But Grady is such a good boy, always waiting patiently at home. He will believe whatever I tell him." There was more. References to other women Jessica had met up with while telling me she was working late or having drinks with colleagues. Plans for Samantha to visit not just next week, but to potentially move in with us, with Jessica joking about making me sleep on the couch in my own home while they took the bedroom. I felt physically ill, my hands shaking as I scrolled through message after message. This was not a one-time mistake or a sudden identity revelation. This was calculated, ongoing deception. When Jessica returned home, I was waiting, the tablet open to her emails. Her face drained of color when she saw what I was looking at. "You went through my private messages," she accused, immediately on the offensive. "Is that really what you want to focus on right now?" I asked quietly. "Not the fact that you have been lying to me for months, that you have been cheating with multiple women, not just Samantha, that you were planning to move her into our home. You are taking those messages out of context," Jessica stammered. "I was just exploring options, fantasizing. Stop lying," I said, my voice steady, despite the storm raging inside me. "It is all here, Jessica. Dates, times, places. This was not some spontaneous discovery of your sexuality. This was deliberate betrayal." For a moment she looked like she might continue denying it. Then her shoulders slumped in defeat. "Fine. Yes, I have been seeing Samantha for a while. And yes, there were others before her. I did not know how to tell you. You could have told me before getting engaged," I pointed out. "Or any day since then. Instead, you kept accepting wedding gifts, making plans, letting me believe in a future that you were actively undermining." "I am going through an identity crisis," Jessica shouted. "Do you have any idea how difficult this has been for me, discovering this part of myself while being in a relationship with you?" "So this is somehow my fault?" I asked incredulously. I did not say that she backpedaled, but you could at least try to understand, instead of making me feel worse than I already do. The conversation devolved from there. Jessica eventually stormed out, saying she was going to stay at a hotel with Samantha, who had apparently already arrived in Boston. Before leaving, she turned at the door. "When I come back, I hope you will have calmed down and we can discuss this reasonably. I still want to make this work, Grady, but I need you to accept all of me, including this part." The next few days were a nightmare. Jessica's friends and even some of her family members began calling and texting me, accusing me of being unsupportive during her brave coming-out journey. Jessica had apparently shared a highly edited version of events on social media, painting herself as the victim, and me as close-minded and controlling. Some of my coworkers saw her posts and began treating me differently. One woman from marketing, who had previously been friendly, now avoided eye contact in the hallways. My boss called me into his office to awkwardly remind me about the company's commitment to diversity and inclusion, clearly having heard rumors but not wanting to directly address them. I felt like I was losing my mind. Somehow, I had become the villain in my own relationship tragedy. Jessica's betrayal had been transformed into a story of self-discovery that I was cruelly standing in the way of. No one seemed to care about the lies, the cheating, or the complete disregard for my feelings. Alone in our apartment one night, I looked at the wedding venue contract on the kitchen counter. We had already paid a substantial non-refundable deposit. The thought of calling it all off was overwhelming, but the alternative was unthinkable. I could not marry someone who had so thoroughly betrayed my trust and showed so little remorse for it. The next morning I woke up with a clarity I had not felt since before Jessica's trip. I knew what I had to do. I called my parents, first explaining the situation and asking for their support. Despite their disappointment, they had loved Jessica. They stood firmly behind me. Next, I contacted a lawyer to understand the legal implications of breaking our engagement, particularly regarding shared property and wedding expenses. By afternoon, I had canceled as many wedding arrangements as possible, accepting the financial losses as the price of my self-respect. I boxed up Jessica's most personal belongings, neatly not out of spite but practicality. Then I texted her, asking to meet at a coffee shop the following day. I specified a public place, deliberately wanting to avoid both the privacy of our apartment and the potential for drama that might entail. When Jessica arrived at the coffee shop, she looked hopeful, as if she expected this meeting to be a reconciliation. I remained standing as she approached, not wanting to prolong the conversation. "I have canceled the wedding," I said without preamble. "The venue, the caterer, everything I could reach. I have already told my family and close friends." Jessica's face crumpled. "You did what?" "Without even talking to me first." "We talked," I replied calmly. "You made your position clear, and now I am making mine clear. I will not be in an open relationship. I will not wait at home while you explore relationships with other people, and I certainly will not marry someone who has been lying to me for months." "But I love you," she protested, tears filling her eyes. "This does not have to end our relationship. People work through things like this all the time. People work through honest mistakes." I corrected her. "What you did was not a mistake. It was a series of deliberate choices to deceive me, to disrespect me, and to use me as a safe backup option while you pursued what you really wanted." "That is not fair," Jessica argued, her voice rising. Several people at nearby tables glanced our way. "I am trying to be honest about my sexuality." "Your sexuality is not the issue," I said firmly. "You could have been honest about that without cheating, without lying, without trying to manipulate me into an arrangement that only serves your interests while disregarding mine completely." Jessica's tears flowed freely now, but I noticed how she angled her body toward other patrons, ensuring they could see her distress. It felt performative, another manipulation. "I have packed your essential belongings," I continued. "They are in my car. The rest of your things will need to be collected when I am not home. My lawyer will contact you about the apartment and any shared assets." "Lawyer Jessica," repeated, shocked. "You got a lawyer. I need to protect myself," I said simply. "You have shown me that I cannot trust you to consider my best interests." "This is not who you are," Jessica said, reaching for my hand. I moved it away. "You are kind and forgiving. You love me. I know you do." "I loved who I thought you were," I corrected her. "That person does not exist." As I walked away, Jessica called after me. "You will regret this, Grady. No one will understand why you are throwing away our relationship over this." I did not turn around. For the first time in weeks, I felt as though I could breathe again. The next few months were challenging but healing. I threw myself into work, earning a promotion when my project exceeded expectations. I started seeing a therapist to process the betrayal and rebuild my sense of self-worth. Slowly, I reconnected with friends I had neglected during my relationship with Jessica, finding support I had not expected. I wrote a private blog post detailing my experience, not for publication but for my own clarity. The writing process was cathartic, helping me understand that the end of my relationship with Jessica was not a failure, but an escape from what would have been a deeply unhappy marriage. Almost 3 months after our breakup, Jessica texted me out of the blue. "Can we talk?" I ignored it, but the messages kept coming. "I miss you so much. I made a terrible mistake. Samantha and I are over. It was never real like what we had. Please give me another chance." I learned through mutual friends that Samantha had ended things dramatically, apparently having found someone new herself. Jessica had also lost her job after missing too many client meetings during her exploration phase. Her carefully curated social media posts about living her authentic life had given way to vague quotes about regret and second chances. One evening, I came home to find Jessica sitting on the steps outside my new apartment building, clutching a bouquet of my favorite flowers. She had lost weight, and her usually perfect makeup could not hide the dark circles under her eyes. "Just 5 minutes," she pleaded. "Please, Grady. 5 minutes of your time after 3 years together." Against my better judgment, I agreed to a brief conversation in the building lobby, where the security guard could see us. Jessica launched immediately into apologies, tears streaming down her face. "I was going through something crazy," she explained. A midlife crisis or something. I got caught up in the excitement and novelty, but it was not real. You are real. What we had was real. What we had was based on lies, I corrected gently. I know, and I am so sorry, she sobbed. I will spend the rest of my life making it up to you. We can get back together. Take things slow. I will go to therapy, couples counseling, whatever you want. Jessica, I said, keeping my voice kind but firm, the issue was never your sexuality. If you had come to me and said you were questioning, we could have worked through that together. The issue was the lying, the cheating, and most importantly, your complete disregard for my feelings and needs. I understand that now, she insisted. I was selfish and stupid. But people make mistakes, Grady. You always said you believed in forgiveness. I do forgive you, I said truthfully. But forgiveness does not mean continuing a relationship. It means I wish you well, but from a distance that protects my own peace and happiness. Jessica tried several more times over the following weeks to change my mind. She enlisted friends to call me, sent gifts to my office, and even contacted my parents. Eventually, she sent a final text. I will always love you. When you are ready to forgive me completely, I will be waiting. I never responded. There was nothing more to say. A year after ending my engagement, my life had transformed. I had moved to a new city for a better job opportunity, made new friends through a hiking club, and even started training for a marathon. The pain of Jessica's betrayal had faded into an occasional dull ache, rather than the sharp agony it had once been. The most important lesson I learned was the value of self-respect and healthy boundaries. True love cannot exist without respect, honesty, and consideration for your partner's needs and feelings. Sometimes walking away from someone is the greatest act of self-love possible. I also learned that forgiveness is not about letting someone back into your life to hurt you again. It is about releasing yourself from the burden of anger and resentment. I genuinely hope Jessica found the peace and self-awareness she was searching for, even if it could not be with me. Have you ever had to make the difficult choice between forgiving someone and protecting your own well-being? Share your story in the comments below. If this resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to hear more real-life experiences. And if you know someone who might be struggling with similar challenges, share this video with them. Remember, sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away. Thank you for listening to my story, and I wish you the wisdom to recognize what truly deserves a place in your life.